Well, Anakin just killed a whole Death Star. How many people died on that? What? Darth Vader is such a bad person. It's very clear, and it's very well established from those actions. But if you can't look and see that Anakin blowing up the Death Star, Anakin blowing up the Death Star, Anakin blowing up the Death Star, possibly killed millions and millions of people.
What are you talking about? We are truly living in the golden age of Star Wars. After having such hits such as Book of Boba Fett, or that Space Whale show with the Orange Lady, or Obi-Wan Kenobi and the conquest of 6-year-old Princess Leia, or the adventures of Jack Black and Lizzo in that Baby Yoda show. Wait, isn't Star Wars a movie franchise? Oh, never mind. Because to really up the ante and bring Star Wars to a whole new level, the show that will reign in a new era, the golden age of Star Wars, is The Acolyte. A show that is getting absolutely amazing reviews from critics. Look at that, 93%. And 93%, that kind of reminds me, we have here 93% from critics. Critics absolutely loving The Acolyte just as much as the original Star Wars. Things are going crazy. This is going to be the best show we've ever gotten. What'd you say? Say that again. No, what? 30%. Is this a glitch? I refreshed the 30%. That doesn't... How could anybody possibly dislike the show? It's peak fire. It's everything that I've ever wanted. Like, there's lightsabers and the Force in it. There's no way. What's going on here? None of this is making sense, because creator of The Acolyte, Leslie Headland, when she gave her elevator pitch for this show, she said that it was like Frozen meets Kill Bill. Two things that I love so much, and just makes sense that they go together, because this fusion of Kill Bill and Frozen just have endless possibilities. And also, when Leslie Headland, creator of Acolyte, and also former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein, when she had to pitch this show to Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy started crying because of how beautiful the story of The Acolyte is. So how could it possibly be getting so much hate when there's just so much love from critics, and it just seems like it's such a beautiful story? Say that again. I've heard from one of my inside sources that the only reason that The Acolyte's getting review bombed is that because 70% of Star Wars fans are indeed racist and homophobic and fascist and bigoted and fundamentalists. I know it's very hard to see. We live in a dark world, and we will all just have to go on and living with this reality. It is very sad, but that is why indeed that statistic says that 70% of people hate the show. It is because of those systematic reasons, which I think is a very, very, very likely reason for why The Acolyte has been received so poorly. Like, just look at how badly these other Acolyte trailers have been ratioed. Look at that here. 70,000 likes to 200,000 dislikes. That's a big oof. And we have here with this trailer about 200,000 likes to 700,000 dislikes. Let's see if I could bump up the numbers. No, I didn't change it. But that is not looking good. It just seems like the whole world is just piloting on for no reason at all on The Acolyte. Like, look at this movie. A movie that everybody loves so deeply, Rise of Skywalker. It doesn't come anywhere close to being ratioed. And this is showing that The Acolyte is truly a special phenomenon for the amount of hate that it is getting. But if I had to choose one reason, you know, outside of the bigotry for why this show, The Acolyte, is getting so much hate, it would probably have to do with the fact of maybe, I don't know, it's going to be hard for me to admit this. I am a Star Wars fan, but it might have to do with the quality of the show. I don't want to overstep my bounds, but if I'm being honest, after watching the first 2 episodes, it was not the best written show. It was also not the best acted show. It also didn't have the best choreography, didn't have the best set design, and I know I'm a Star Wars fan, so it's really hard for me to admit this, but there is not a small amount of cringe in the show.
Yes, my child.
We have unfinished business. Attack me with all your strength.
And all those things I just listed might have impacted the amount of hate that this show has been getting on the good old Rotten Tomatoes. And it could also have to do with the fact that The Acolyte is set during the High Republic and nobody cares or even knows what the High Republic is, as it's based off of Disney extended lore that nobody has ever even read. But if you are still convinced that people are just hating just for the sake of hating, oh, you stink! I would sort of like to turn around that sentiment on you and ask, do you think that you are just loving this show just for the sake of loving? Because a good rule of thumb to see if an adaptation has any merit is to ask yourself that if you take the IP out of that story, would that story still be able to stand on its own? Like in the case of The Acolyte, if you take Star Wars out of the title of the show, do you genuinely believe that anyone would have any affinity for this show? I would sort of like to make a strong case that the answer would be no, because what could anybody possibly like and take away from this show?
We have unfinished business.
Attack me with all your strength.
But I think that the answer as to why The Acolyte has been receiving so much hate lies in the fact that it's a show of pretty poor quality. Plus, people are becoming so sick of the amount of sludge that Disney has been producing. But now, after hearing me go on this spiel, if I am, at least, not the stupidest person you heard today, that must be a sign that you need to like and subscribe.
Thanks for watching
DUCKFINDER
on YouTube. For more premium content, subscribe.
Just like the simulation.